In January 2018, President Donald Trump took the stage at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. This annual gathering of global elites is a platform for world leaders to discuss pressing economic issues. Trump's presence was highly anticipated. It was a chance for him to articulate his vision for the American economy on the world stage. Trump's speech, later dubbed the Davos Declaration, was a bold proclamation of American economic strength. He touted the successes of his administration's policies. He emphasized tax cuts, deregulation, and a renewed focus on American interests. He painted a picture of a resurgent America, open for business and ready to lead the global economy. The speech was met with mixed reactions. Some lauded Trump's optimistic outlook and pro-business agenda. They saw it as a refreshing change from the cautious tone of previous administrations. Others expressed skepticism, pointing to potential pitfalls such as rising inequality and trade wars. The Davos Declaration marked a pivotal moment in Trump's presidency. It crystallized his economic philosophy and set the stage for the policies that would come to define his term in office. The question remained, would Trump's vision translate into lasting prosperity for all Americans? Trump's Davos speech was delivered against a backdrop of positive economic indicators. The event was a significant platform for him to highlight the economic achievements of his administration. The American economy was experiencing a period of steady growth, with various sectors showing robust performance. Construction projects were booming, financial districts were bustling, and factories were operating at full capacity. Unemployment rates had fallen to historic lows, reaching levels not seen in decades. This was a significant achievement, as more Americans found jobs and job fairs were crowded with opportunities. The stock market was surging to record highs. Reflecting investor confidence and economic optimism, traders on the floor were celebrating as indices hit new peaks. Trump was eager to take credit for this economic boom, attributing it to his administration's policies. He frequently highlighted these achievements in his speeches and rallies, presenting economic data to support his claims. He pointed to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, a sweeping piece of legislation passed in December 2017, as a key driver of economic growth. This act was one of the cornerstones of his economic policy. The law slashed corporate tax rates and provided tax relief for individuals and businesses. This was intended to stimulate economic activity by increasing disposable income and encouraging investment. Trump argued that these tax cuts would boost investment, create jobs, and put more money in the pockets of hardworking Americans. The idea was that lower taxes would lead to higher consumer spending and business expansion. He also highlighted his administration's efforts to roll back regulations. By reducing the regulatory burden, Trump believed businesses would have more freedom to innovate and grow. Trump argued that excessive regulation was stifling businesses and hindering economic growth. He claimed that cutting red tape was essential for unleashing the full potential of the American economy. By cutting red tape, he claimed, his administration was unleashing the full potential of the American economy. Business owners and entrepreneurs were reportedly more optimistic and willing to invest. The numbers seemed to support Trump's claims. Economic reports showed positive trends and financial analysts were generally optimistic about the future. The economy was growing at a healthy clip, with cities bustling with activity, manufacturing plants operating efficiently, and the stock exchange floor busy with trades. Unemployment was at its lowest point in decades, benefiting a diverse group of workers across various industries. Job seekers found ample opportunities, and factory workers were busy on the production line. The stock market was on a tear, with records being set and investors celebrating the rising stock prices. This was seen as a sign of economic strength and stability. Whether these positive trends could be solely attributed to Trump's policies was a matter of debate. Economic experts and political analysts often discuss the various factors contributing to the economic performance. However, there was no denying that the economy was performing well during his presidency. The bustling economic activity in cities and the positive sentiment in financial districts were evident, and Trump often smiled at rallies, confident in his economic record. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 was the cornerstone of Trump's economic agenda. This legislation, passed by a Republican-controlled Congress, represented the most significant overhaul of the U.S. tax code in decades. Its centerpiece was a dramatic reduction in the corporate tax rate, from 35% to 21%. This move was designed to make American businesses more competitive globally and incentivize investment in the United States. The law also included a number of provisions aimed at simplifying the tax code for individuals. These included increasing the standard deduction, doubling the child tax credit, and reducing individual income tax rates across the board. The Trump administration argued that these changes would provide tax relief for middle-class families and stimulate economic growth. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was met with mixed reactions. Supporters praised its focus on economic growth and job creation. They argued that the law would lead to higher wages, increased investment, and a more prosperous economy for all Americans. Critics, however, expressed concerns about the law's impact on the national debt and its potential to exacerbate income inequality. Section 4. American businesses thrive. The Apple example. The Trump administration often pointed to the success of American businesses as evidence of the effectiveness of its economic policies. They believed that their strategies were fostering a more robust and competitive economic environment, which was essential for the growth and prosperity of the nation. One frequently cited example was Apple, the tech giant that had become a global icon of American innovation. Apple's journey from a garage startup to a trillion-dollar company epitomizes the American dream and the spirit of entrepreneurship. Under Trump, Apple announced plans to invest billions of dollars in the United States, creating thousands of new jobs. This move was seen as a significant boost to the American economy, providing opportunities for many and reinforcing the country's position as a leader in technology and innovation. In January 2018, shortly after the passage of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, a landmark piece of legislation aimed at reducing corporate tax rates and encouraging domestic investment, Apple CEO Tim Cook announced that the company would repatriate $252 billion in profits held overseas. This decision was a direct result of the new tax law, which provided a more favorable tax rate for repatriated funds. This move was made possible by a provision in the new tax law that allowed companies to bring back foreign profits at a reduced tax rate. This provision was designed to incentivize companies to invest their overseas earnings back into the U.S. economy. Apple pledged to use a portion of these repatriated funds to invest in its American operations. Apple's investment plans included a wide range of initiatives aimed at strengthening its presence in the U.S. and supporting local communities. One of the most notable projects was building a new campus in Austin, Texas, which was expected to create thousands of jobs and stimulate the local economy. Additionally, Apple planned to expand its existing facilities in several other states, further demonstrating its commitment to growing its operations within the country. The company also announced plans to increase its workforce in the United States, a move that was welcomed by many as a sign of economic optimism and growth. Apple aimed to add thousands of new jobs in areas such as manufacturing, engineering, and customer support. These jobs were expected to provide high-quality employment opportunities and contribute to the overall economic well-being of the nation. The Trump administration hailed Apple's investment plans as a major victory for American workers. They saw it as a clear indication that their economic policies were working and benefiting the American people, and a testament to the effectiveness of its economic policies. The administration argued that their approach was creating a more favorable business environment, which was essential for attracting and retaining major corporations like Apple. They argued that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act had created a more favorable business environment in the United States, making it more attractive for companies to invest domestically rather than overseas, encouraging companies like Apple to invest at home and create jobs. This, in turn, was expected to lead to a more vibrant and dynamic economy, with benefits that would be felt across the country. Section 5. Shadows of doubt, inequality, debt, and trade wars. Despite the positive economic indicators and success stories like Apple's, concerns lingered about the long-term sustainability of Trump's economic policies. The stock market was booming and corporate profits were soaring, but beneath the surface there were growing anxieties about the broader economic landscape. Critics pointed to several warning signs, including rising income inequality, a ballooning national debt, and a sense that the benefits of economic growth were not being evenly distributed. The gap between the wealthy and the rest of the population was becoming more pronounced, leading to social unrest and protests. Additionally, escalating trade tensions with key trading partners added another layer of complexity to the economic picture. The imposition of tariffs and the resulting trade disputes created uncertainty for businesses and consumers alike. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, while touted as a boon for the middle class, was a centerpiece of Trump's economic agenda. It promised to stimulate growth and create jobs, but its long-term effects were hotly debated. However, the act was criticized for disproportionately benefiting corporations and wealthy individuals. The reduction in corporate tax rates was seen as a windfall for big businesses, while the middle class received only temporary relief. The law's structure, which permanently lowered the corporate tax rate, was designed to make American businesses more competitive globally. Yet, this approach raised questions about fairness and equity in the tax system. While providing temporary cuts for individuals, the act's benefits were unevenly distributed. Many middle-class families saw only modest reductions in their tax bills, and there were concerns about the long-term implications for public services and infrastructure. This raised concerns that it would exacerbate the already widening gap between the rich and the poor. The disparity in wealth and income was becoming more visible, with luxury homes and neighborhoods standing in stark contrast to more modest communities. Furthermore, the significant reduction in government revenue resulting from the tax cuts put additional pressure on the federal budget. This led to debates about how to fund essential services and programs. The tax cuts contributed to a sharp increase in the national debt, raising alarms about fiscal responsibility. The growing debt burden was seen as a potential threat to the country's economic stability. While the Trump administration argued that economic growth would offset the revenue losses, this optimistic view was not universally shared. Economists and policymakers debated the likelihood of achieving the necessary growth rates to balance the budget. Critics warned of a looming fiscal crisis if spending was not brought under control. The combination of tax cuts and increased spending created a challenging fiscal environment. Adding to the economic uncertainty were Trump's aggressive trade policies. His approach to international trade was marked by a willingness to confront trading partners and renegotiate agreements. His imposition of tariffs on goods from China and other countries was intended to protect American industries and jobs. However, these measures had far-reaching consequences for the global economy. While intended to protect American industries and jobs, the tariffs sparked retaliatory measures from other countries. This tit-for-tat escalation raised fears of a prolonged trade conflict. The prospect of a global trade war loomed large, with potential impacts on international relations and economic stability. The interconnected nature of the global economy meant that trade tensions could have ripple effects across multiple sectors. These trade tensions threatened to disrupt global supply chains, increase prices for consumers, and create uncertainty for businesses. The cost of goods and services was expected to rise, affecting household budgets. American businesses that relied on international trade faced significant challenges. Small business owners in particular were concerned about the impact of tariffs on their operations and profitability. The economic landscape was becoming increasingly complex and uncertain.